Pog Jam. All right. I appreciate it. Uh, putting me on the spot a little bit here. Um, my name is Nick. I am a streamer, YouTuber, hopefully TikTok content creator. Um, I mostly on Twitch. I mostly play FPS games. That's kind of like my go-to. But um, I'm really down to just play whatever as long as it's planned first. Because I'm not too big into like impromptu stuff. I like red. It's my favorite color. Um, a lot of Spider-Man stuff because I'm a Spider-Man fan. And yeah, I'm kind of just like an idiot all the time, and for some reason, people like to watch that. See, I don't really remember because I've been into Spider-Man since I was a kid. Like I used to have a Spider-Man comforter for as long as I can remember until they like took it away. Um, chat says you're muted, by the way. Yeah.
What about now? Okay, there we go. All right.
All right, you're good.
Okay.
All right. I don't know if you want to re-ask that.
No, no, no. Yeah. Now we can hear. Okay. What? Yeah. So as I was saying, I'm curious. What got you into Spider-Man? You were talking about, you know, not exactly knowing, but I'm more curious, not necessarily, of a timeline, but about the hero itself. And I have a reason for this, by the way. I was just gonna kind of let you talk about it for a second, but I definitely have a vested interest in this comment, believe it or not.
So, well, like I was saying earlier, like Spider-Man's always been my favorite since I was a kid. Since like as long as I can remember, I used to have Spider-Man everything. I used to go to Spider-Man as as a dressed up for him as Halloween for who knows how many years, right? No times Tom Holland was also like the same way, so I really related to him, like how much we loved Spider-Man as a kid.
That's awesome.
But why as to why I like him so much? First of all, I really like Red, and he's very like he's he's very much at least in high school and even like out of high school because a lot of Spider-Man is believe it or not, this after he's graduated. He's very much a loser, right? And
Right.
then like secretly he's this like super cool like badass dude or whatever, right? And like I don't know, growing up, I was never really like the most popular kid or anything, or just like, and so I kind of like really felt like a loser like all the freaking time. And so just the fact that like somebody like Spider-Man is a loser to everybody else, but he knows how cool he is, and he everybody and the select few people know how cool he is, and like I really like resonated with that. Like I know I seem like I feel like a loser when I'm out in public, and when I'm with my friends, and when I'm with in high school, because I was like fat, I wasn't cool or whatever. I was like picked on sometimes, and like I don't know, I just felt like gave me hope as a kid, I guess.
So my mom and I used to go to the pharmacy, and when we would pick up her medication or my medication, we definitely were very lower income, single mother, high school education, all that stuff. So very much in the low income side of things. So used to not be able to really afford like toys or video games or anything like that growing up. But what we could get is when we go to the pharmacy, they had the little comic stand. And the first comic book that I ever picked up that was a superhero comic book. I love Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes, they had comics of that. Um, Ninja Turtles, all that stuff. But the first superhero comic I ever picked up was Spider-Man, and it was Spider-Man versus Venom. It was their first interaction. So I actually have like their first interaction together. I actually have some rare comics. Think about it, but it was um, it was really really awesome because I remember I really liked Venom as a villain as much as I could understand as a little kid at that time what a villain would be. But I think Stan Lee put it best about Spider-Man and why I love him so much. And by the way, he is my favorite superhero as well. Um,
Man of taste.
he's a superhero with a job. He's got the 9 to 5. Most superheroes, and people could sit there and try to debate and be like, well, Bruce Wayne's the CEO of Wayne Enterprises. Yeah, but he doesn't do. I mean, it's all a name, right? Same thing with Iron Man. He literally sits there and collects a paycheck at this point. By the time we get all these superheroes, but Peter Parker has, essentially in most situations, 2 to 3 jobs. He works, depending on the timeline, he works with Doc Ock, and he works for Daily Bugle, and he struggles with bills and paying rent. And it was a very, very, very relatable superhero. I think more relatable than any other superhero because his powers are almost, if you will, it's almost like a younger person's fantasy on how to deal with certain situations that they might not normally be able to deal with, as opposed to, I am Thor, God of Thunder. Where is the practicality here? Like
Right,
I
right.
could, this person's picking on me, I will hit them with a lightning bolt. Like, it was always a practical superhero. But I will give you a fun fact about him. Peter Parker, despite that status, is as you would say more relatable because of being kind of a social outcast in certain ways. Has had more relationships with named female superheroes than any other character in Marvel.
Yeah,
Yes.
certainly, definitely that part's not relatable.
Yeah. So,
Definitely, yeah, don't relate there.
um, but I always found that funny that they put that in there. But yeah, so you know, getting with this, was comics a transition for video games, or did they kind of go hand in hand? Because a lot of times with people, they'll play comics and then they'll get into video games, or they'll play video games and get into comics. But I noticed that a lot of these things coincide, as far as I hate calling it nerd culture because it almost sounds derogatory, but I don't know what else to call it. But it almost seems like it's you know, comics are a gateway drug. No, it almost, it almost seems like like comics are a way for a lot of people growing up to have kind of got into the fantasy sci-fi mindset before they were able to necessarily get a Super Nintendo, a Sega Genesis, N64, whatever was the first console that people got. So I'm kind of curious, what kind of led you to video games?
Well, so growing up, my parents just bought me all these Spider-Man things, and
Hmm.
like the next thing I know, I'm a Spider-Man fan, right? And then, so like I started playing video games with my dad on like the GameCube when
That's
I was
awesome.
like 3 or 4, and so I really understood and related to Spider-Man years after I started playing video games. So video games came first, and
Okay.
then like me, I'd always liked Spider-Man, but like me diving into more into Spider-Man that came later. And so, if that answers your question,
Yeah.
definitely the games came first. I would say.
Okay. And what was I always ask this. Um, what was the first video game that you played? Or the first one, we can even say the first one that got you hooked.
Mm, Smash Bros. Melee on the GameCube.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay.
I
So,
think that was I think it was the first game I ever played.
okay.
Yeah,
Um, and your dad, what type of games does he still play?
not really, not
Okay.
anymore.
Okay. What were the games that he was really into? Do you remember?
Well, he never really. So he had like an Atari,
Okay.
and he had an N60. He had a Super Nintendo, but he kind of stopped playing video games when me and my sister were born,
Okay.
and so basically he was into like Mario and Sonic, and he loves Zelda. He loves Legend of Zelda, and so yeah, it was. He pretty much only played video games with me or my sister,
Okay.
mostly me.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like his gateway back into it for a certain time until I was like, I don't know, 10 or something, and then stopped.
And see, that's what I love about video games and comic books, and I think is really, really still to this day underrepresented in terms of the positives of a lot of these um, different, again, nerd cultures, if you would call them, like Star Trek, for instance. Star Trek's been going on for, dear Lord, at this point, 40, 50 years without exaggeration. I mean, started in the 70s. So, I mean, this is something that your parents, and in some cases, we could be getting to grandparents. Honestly, your whole family, there could be a familial interest in this stuff, and I think it's awesome to hear because and I don't look at this as a negative, but I didn't have a similar background. My parents were never interested in video games per se growing up and stuff like that. But I love hearing um, because you're kind of the, I would say, of the 21 interviews I've done, I'd say you're probably the seventh or eighth person that said that their a family member first introduced them to video games, and I think that that's
Right.
really awesome because it's kind of a lost connection, because that's especially with Nintendo, especially with the GameCube. That's what Nintendo wants. I mean, they want, I mean, obviously for commercial aspect, but they also want you know lifelong customers, if you will, and getting people to play games together is one of the ways to do that. um, so did you now, growing up with the GameCube, I think you're the first person to say that they started with the GameCube. um, what other
Am
games?
I?
Yeah, I really do. I think most people said that they started with an N64. Us older folks started with an SNES. A lot of us. What other games did you play?
Growing up, it was a lot of Smash Bros, Mario Kart, and Battlefront 2. I played so much Battlefront 2 with my dad, like a lot of Star Wars Battlefront 2. That was like my favorite game. Still is one of my favorite games of all time.
So is that probably what got you into FPSs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Although I mostly played it in third person. I didn't even realize you could go into first person in that game until like until like maybe last year. Like I had no idea.
Oh, I really really like the fact that you got started with Smash Brothers Melee too, because I mean my back, even though I had an SNES and that was my first console, the game I relate to you again here because the first game that I really got into was in the arcades, and it was Tekken. Was the first game that I really really got into. Um,
I think that was my dad's. One of my dad's.
yeah, son. No, but yeah, I mean, I really liked it, and the whole reason I liked it is because I like beating people up as the panda bear, because it's the funniest shit to see people these. I mean, even and I was still a kid, but even as a kid, I remember like grown men would like cuss me out at the arcade because I was beating them up as the panda bear, just mashing buttons. You know, it's the funniest thing. Um, and then we'd go and because the arcade was right outside the theater, we'd go out after the arcade. We'd go to the theater. So then we'd watch, shit. I don't remember Ferngully or whatever it was. Um, but I really really like hearing that. So with Mario Kart, do you still? Because I'm trying to think on stream. Mostly, yeah, I do see you playing FPSs. Of course, Apex is your big one. For
Right.
those of you who haven't had a chance to go to Nick's channel, let me go ahead and throw another plug, as always. And he is very very good at Apex. Um, and and Also too, as I always say, whether someone is, and in Nick's case, he is very good at Apex, but whether someone's good at a game or not, the people that I've had on for these interviews have been, uh, for me, and I might again, this isn't hyperbole. This is not apocryphal. These people have really had an amazing positive impact on my life and been very life changing because, again, you hear all these cautionary tales of the internet, and how everybody's a troll in waiting and stuff like that. And I either I'm the luckiest person in the world, or it's not true because I have been blessed to, 99% of the people I've met, whether it's Nick or Audie, um, or Mushu or Eclipse, they have been very, very true, amazing friends to me. So I would definitely recommend checking them out, even if Apex is not your thing. I definitely recommend checking them out. So, with that being said, kind of going back to this a little bit, starting with Smash Brothers and Mario Kart, how much of these games do you still play? Like, did you keep up with all of them going forward, or because I haven't seen. I think I've seen you playing Smash Brothers. I think, but I can't honestly remember.
No,
But
I not
but
on stream at least.
okay, then yeah.
So we just got a Switch like really recently, and so I've always been fairly okay at Mario Kart. Like pretty good. Like you put me in a room full of people, like well, maybe one of them will beat me. Like maybe I'm just naturally skilled at Mario Kart, but like not like a pro level or anything. More like a casual level. Like you show up with friends, then you all just gonna get steamrolled. Same thing with um Smash Bros. I've always been I've always been pretty good at Smash Bros. But like when Smash Bros came out on the Nintendo 3DS, I spent so many hours playing that on the toilet, where like online against like I was just 1v1 people while I was taking a dump, and so I just became like so good. And now like I'm not even lie, I'm fairly good at Smash
The
Bros. Like
opportunities for trash talking while you're beating somebody while pooping are astronomical.
I know if only it had a voice chat or even a text chat on the 3DS. But
uh,
yeah, so
the only
my
thing
my
more
dad got
I was just gonna say the only thing more shit than what I just took was your gameplay. Just drop that on somebody and click leave.
that'd be disgusting. But yeah, my dad got a Switch, and so I played like Mario Kart and Smash like once or twice on it. But right now I'm focused on Pokemon. I was a huge Pokemon fan growing up. Still
What was the first Pokemon you started with?
am. This is gonna show how young I am. Okay, but the first one I started with was Sapphire, Pokemon Sapphire,
Okay.
and then I went back and I played the rest. I actually have a hold on, look, I have. I'm just gonna flex really quick. I have this an original Game Boy, like
Oh, snap!
original, and with the original Pokemon Yellow.
Wait,
So
I gotta check, make sure mine's still in my cabinet. No, I
yeah,
actually, yeah, that's. It's funny you said that, brother. That's the first one I started with, Pokemon Yellow,
yeah.
cause
I
Pikachu.
think I exactly right. Although he wasn't very good,
No, he wasn't.
but
He's actually. It's so funny because the TV show is so misleading. Pikachu's one of the worst Pokemon at all.
he's actually just so bad.
Yeah, but
And yeah, it was I actually didn't get this until like my sophomore year of high school. I went looking for it and I finally found one after like who knows how many places I looked. And so yeah. And then this thing was expensive, but we got one.
by the way, I'm so glad that you understand my generation's agony with going in like a passenger car ride at night, and
Yeah,
it's like 10 o'clock at night, and you're just playing at the window with like the street light, trying to figure out where you can move. Oh my god! And
I remember.
the lights for those things, you all don't know. Uh, the lights for those things were like these freaking gigantic snake lights that took up half the car to be able to illuminate these damn things. um, and I normally don't take uh, I normally try to focus with the guest streamer, but Matt says hi. I don't know if you're in chat or not. So
I bet I could see it.
okay.
I have chat open.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, Betsy, if you want to do that, I don't know why it let me select interview as a category if it's not a valid category, because it let me do that in Streamlabs. But yeah, if you want to change it to talk shows and podcast, sure. We'll keep going down the official route. We'll make this official, bunny suit and all. Um, but I'm glad that you. Oh, kitty! See the kitty in the background. Holy crap! The kitty blended in perfectly. I didn't even.
Yeah, it's the lighting. She's very dark. And
Um,
I made her a bed out of my jacket because she likes to sit on my jacket. So
oh, that.
it's my favorite jacket too.
How
So
how old is the kitty? Actually, I don't even know the what's the kitty's name. I don't even think I know her.
her name is Pebbles,
Aw,
and then her brother's name is Bam Bam.
aw, no, that's super
And yeah,
cute.
she's like 12, I think.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
getting old.
have you had cats always, or have you been a dog person, or
Um, so I got my cats when I was in the fifth grade, and then I got my two dachshunds. So I have two dogs as well, and I got them in the 10th grade, and they're like 5 years old, and so they're downstairs. So yeah,
dachshunds are some of the most amazing dogs, especially miniature dachshunds. They are the funniest. They are the definition of big dog and a little body.
yeah,
One of
I'm aware.
one of my friends had a little miniature dachshund, and his name was Zeus, and it was the best name ever for this little dog, because this dog was not afraid of anything. And at one point, I just remember pulling up to their apartment complex, and Zeus is out chasing a duck that is 3 times his size. But I guess this duck figured that, like, oh shit, this dog knows something I don't because he's chasing me. So the duck
Right.
was running, Zeus was chasing him, and my friend literally just looks at me and goes, "Yeah, he got to be a real dog for 30 seconds." Just pulled and walked back inside. And then he got tired because his little legs. He got tired chasing the duck. So then he just kind of like sprawled and laid down. And they got such long hair that he just kind of like melted into the concrete almost. It looked like. But they are such cute dogs. Kim said, or
Yeah.
I keep always call her Kim, but Che says I miss Bam Bam. He was such a big boy.
Mm.
Um,
I'm sure he misses you too.
but so getting back to it, so we kind of got a little bit of the background information. What about I'm curious before we get necessarily to what led you into streaming. I always like to kind of follow up with this question too because I've started to notice it's really interesting for the background information. Were you always into theater or music or some type of performance, or was it something that you just like this is completely I don't want to say new because you've been doing this for a little bit, but
Two
something that
years.
yeah, something that was a drastic change from what you had done in high school or
Um, well, even though I saw myself as like, a loser and stuff like that, I did like to have like people's eyes on me.
mhm.
And even though I'm like shy and I don't really like I can be social if I want to. I just really hate doing it. But um so in high school I was part of my school's jazz band. And so it wasn't just like the
Okay,
normal
cool.
band. It was like yeah, and so um I really liked it when I was terrible at reading music. It's like terrible at it. But like I was good enough to where I got by. And but for solos, I would have to like stand up and solo in front of people. And I think one time I soloed in front of like 500,000 people or something like that. And um it was I was always bad at reading music, but I could improvise really well. So I could just make it up off the top of my head like really well, and it always sounded cool, and I could always do something crazy. The thing about like when you're playing an instrument to people who don't know what music is that you can just do the simplest thing, and they'll just be like, "Oh my god," they'll freak out. and so and so um, I remember this like one time. It was at my school. They had like this huge assembly, and there's this huge um auditorium, and I get up and my solo's coming up, and I just go to town and I just do something crazy. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember the song was called "Vehicle." I don't know if you know it,
Mm-mm.
but so I did it, and I even messed up during it, but the mess up sounded okay, and so I sat back down, and like everybody in the audience is like, whatever, and like clapping really hard, and I was like, wow, this feels really good, and so like you know it was it made me seem better than I actually was, and so like ever since then, I've really enjoyed um, some sort of performing and being in being in front of people and like giving people some sort of like excitement or enjoyment or like laughter or something like that.
Now, uh, I really hope the answer is yes, but I completely understand if it's no. Have you kept up with music at all?
No,
Okay, that's okay.
no, I haven't. My
Um,
sister does though.
okay,
She took my saxophones, so she has
okay,
them.
okay. Well, hey, that's you know what? That's awesome. Um, I especially because once you said jazz, because it's like it's always awesome to find jazz musicians, but I swear that they seem jazz and blues seem more rare every day. But I want you to I want to point out something real quick in the chat, Nick. This clip that I posted, I definitely want you to watch that for later. It's do you know who Dana Carvey is?
Name sounds familiar.
Dana Carvey was an older SNL comedian, famous for skits like The Church Lady, um, and he would do a great George Bush impression, senior, and just overall fantastic comedian. But he does this skit right here where he talks about how musicians, like a lot of musicians, act like it's magic when they change chords, and just the impression or the facial expressions that he has when he changes these chords is priceless. And it made me think of what you were talking about, like, if you know some music theory and how to improvise and stuff like that, you can kind of act like it's a mystery. Oh no, it just naturally came to me. I didn't read hours and hours and hours and hours of sheet music. Um, Audie says, no, Nick.
I'm fully
We're-
aware. Look at it. RP. You can just see it ending right here.
oh, it's okay, brother. Get yourself a bunny suit. It distracts everybody from.
Yeah, that's why I have the hat right now.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. You got the beard going. You got the facial structure.
It's not even like it's not even complete. Look, they're just patches.
I'll just
These are
take the
just the three
take
spots.
the compliment. No, run with it. No, no, no,
Okay,
no,
okay.
no, no. It'd be cool. You just take up martial arts. You'll be Jason Statham. Yeah.
I used to do martial arts
Oh, that's awesome. Did you?
back in the day.
What did you take?
It was like taekwondo.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I got to junior black belt because it was like the black belt before you got to that you were allowed to have before you turned 18.
Okay.
And
Cool.
so yeah, so technically I was a black belt, but like
No, that's cool.
wasn't fully a black belt.
So he plays jazz and he whoops ass. This is like a Steven Seagal, like
Yeah, that's why Audie needs to know I'll kick his ass anytime.
while playing a cool jazz solo.
Exactly. I'll be playing a saxophone and kicking Audie's ass at the same time.
Uh, um, we should do a yawn interview. I'll do an AMA later. I'd be down for that. But um, and as always, the gang's all here, as they say. So for those of you who don't know, Batsy, Audie, Nick, I pretty much met all these people at the exact same time, same window. Uh,
Years ago.
yeah, God, it has been years at this
Been
point
like
too.
2 years, I think.
It has. Um, and again, these people have been so awesome to me. I can't tell you just how amazing they've been to me because it's one of those things where whenever you are introducing yourself into a friend circle and stuff like that, I think we've all had those experiences where high school especially things can be, as they say, clicky, um, and it's very nerve wracking even if you're a seasoned social veteran, if you will, to go. And I'm not, so I'm not acting like I'm wearing a freaking bunny suit, like I said, for crying out loud. Clearly this is a cry for help. Um, but it's it's always one of those things where it's nerve wracking to meet new people, and I just could not have been more naturally welcomed than by these people. So
Well, I think that you were already well, you kind of made friends with everybody like playing Overwatch, like, and then I met you, you know.
okay.
And so like I think we were just like I think we were part of the same friend group, but we never actually like met until I saw you playing with other people like in their stream.
To be fair, Nick is very prophetic. He is a savant. He knew light years ahead of his time that we should all abandon Overwatch, and we should have listened. So I don't know that I would have picked up Apex, but I would have abandoned Overwatch. Like
That's fair. That's fair.
it's one of those things where I don't know if I would have rebuilt, but the house is on fire. Is what's the kind of the takeaway from that one. Um, but yeah, so I do think that I want to uh, let you know too that that's been kind of a very interesting thing for me as well, because for a lot of people, streaming has been kind of the performance breakout for a lot of people. It's either been there's not really been a middle ground. It's either been people that have been like performing for years upon years and then decided that they'd try streaming, I guess, as an avenue to express their performance desires. Not that people are putting on an act, but we are essentially, each streamer is on kind of a platform, a stage, if you will, as an
Right.
entertainer. There's not really another way. I mean, not to sound like it's finite or to look at it from an absolute position, but I don't necessarily know another way to look at it. Is that you are on a stage or up on the podium when you're streaming. Um, and they've either gone from it's been kind of a cultivated performance in or performance desire throughout their life, or it's been something to where they just said, "Hey, you know what? Heck with it. I'm gonna take a leap of faith here," and I think that's really interesting because it's very rare that you would get somebody, let's say, that had never acted before, and then in their 40s, they're like, "I'm gonna give this a shot." But with streaming, I think that streaming's a very, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think it's far more rare than it is the norm. But
100%.
with streaming, it's very interesting how many people have just thought, "I'm just going to give this a go," and then you have again seasoned veterans, if you will, of performance, and they almost all start on the same, even playing field though, unless you have
Well,
a social media.
well, I think that a lot of people don't see streaming as performance, even though that's what it is.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people see it as I'm just gonna go live while I play video games, and it's just me playing video games, and they don't see it for what it is, which is entertainment.
Yeah,
And so I think that's why there's such a big disparity because there are those that see it like it actually is, which is you are there to entertain whoever's watching. That's why you're live.
right.
You're not there for people. You're not there to just play video games and then just like whatever, you know. And I think the people who acknowledge why why they're live are the ones that come from a performing background, and then those that don't acknowledge what Twitch is and what the purpose of Twitch is. Those are the people that don't come from that background. In my, if that makes sense.
No, no, it does, and I think that to kind of add upon that, I think that the people who come from that performance background, I do think that they start out a little bit ahead of the curve, so to speak. Not that it's an insurmountable gap that can't be closed, um, but I do
Right.
think they start a little bit ahead of the curve, and I think that the ones who really catch up, if you will, who didn't come from a performance background, are the ones who realize that it's not just about growing as a person on stream, but you do have to start growing in different introspective aspects, being more interactive with chat. I mean, one of the things that's to this day is very hard for me to do, and I still, fumble with it is, uh, internally becoming external. Or externally becoming internal, I guess I should say, actually that way, to where I'm expressing my thoughts of a particular event instead of just kind of keeping it to myself. And
Right.
that's one of the hardest things with streaming because at the end of the day, streaming, if the difference between, somebody playing a video game or somebody just in front of the camera and a streamer is the streamer is providing something uh, that you don't get just by playing the game yourself or
Right.
by in this interaction here. I mean, you could boil this down to we're just having a conversation, but there has to be something going on here that somebody couldn't have had a normal conversation with one of their friends and gotten the same information. So there's always something that people are getting out of it that they normally wouldn't get out of it otherwise. And I
Right.
don't think that that's a malignant thing. I don't think it's a malicious thing. Some people take entertaining as it's you're fake or you can be comedians are some of the most real people you would imagine, and they're all about entertainment. But I mean, a lot of those stories come from, especially the ones that sound very dark and depressing, come from very dark and depressing places. So, you can be an entertainer and be very, very, very genuine and very real still. This isn't acting. Acting and entertainment do not coincide, or well, they coincide, but they're not tethered. They can be separated because I think a lot of people think that streamers are acting. I guess if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I could see that.
Um, in cases like with you and Audie, where we can get to know each other, obviously we know that's not the case, but I think people don't understand that um, just because you can't, and I'm just using him as an example, just because you can't have a one-on-one conversation with Summit doesn't mean that he's acting. I mean,
Right.
the more they grow, the more it becomes difficult for them to keep up with everybody, but they still can be very genuine people. Um,
Yeah, it's very much like, at least how I think a lot of people are, is that you're always yourself, except on stream you're yourself plus like 40%.
exactly. No, I
But you're
think
still yourself.
they're. Are you a pro wrestling fan at all?
No. No,
Okay.
sir.
No, 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 no. You're fine. No, that's fine. But you know who Stone Cold is.
No.
You don't. Okay. That's okay. For those of you who know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is, his real name is Steve Williams, and there was somebody describing him once, and they said that the reason the Stone Cold character works is because it's literally just him dialed up to 11. But he is the guy that will have like the deer, on the front of the hood and the gun rack in the back of the car, playing, old country music as he goes down the road. And that was the character, but that is also the person, and that's why it worked, so well. So yeah, it's kind of what you're saying, dialing it up to 11, being an 8 yourself, an 8 most of the time, and dialing it up a little bit. Um, so for you personally, what got you into streaming? What was the appeal, the interest?
Um, trying to think. So I discovered it my freshman year of college,
Okay.
and um, I watched. I played a lot of PUBG in my freshman year, so I was always watching Shroud like all the time. Because Shroud used to play PUBG a lot during that time,
Right.
and so I'm just like, wow. It just like stuck in the back of my head. Like I could totally do this if I wanted to, but I didn't realize back then what it was. Because I think even though I came from like a sort of performer ish background, I didn't realize what streaming was at the time, and I don't think I even realized it until like maybe a year into streaming. Probably not even. I'm gonna say probably even like a year and a half until I into not like a year. And so I just had that in the back of my head or whatever. And he was in California, and so I'm like, it just when somebody he had a bajillion viewers, and he lived far away, so I'm like, okay, he lives in celebrity land, and he's just freaking celebrity, right? And so then like one day I'm scrolling, and I see Delicate stream, like Courtney stream, because
Hmm.
Courtney was like one of the first people, and so I was like, cool, whatever, became a viewer, whatever, met a bunch of people, whatever, and so then I found out she's from San Antonio, and I'm like, wow, she has, that's really close. It's like an hour and a half away from me, right? And so I'm like, you're basically just a regular person, and
Right.
you've built this community, and like that's like really relatable to me. And I'm like, wow, I could really do this myself if I wanted to. And so then I met like Dylan and Audie and all those people, and they had accounts, and I was like, wow, I could stream if I wanted to too. Although I didn't realize at the time what it actually meant. I just kind of thought that people would watch me if I just went live and played a game, although that's clearly not the case. Um, and yeah, that's what it was. It was more like it was me wanting a way. It was me, I guess, finding a way that people could have eyes on me without actually having their eyes on me.
Right.
And so I just didn't think it was something that I could do until like, no offense to Courtney, but like compared to Shroud, just like an average Joe, right? Like in terms of like celebrity status and like money and power and all. And so I was like, wow, just a regular person can do this. I can do this. And so that's literally why I was like, if they can, if everybody else can do it, why can't I do it? So I just did it.
No, I don't, and I don't think that that's any disrespect to Courtney. I think that that is a compliment because that is the, if you will, um, for those of you who know what informatics basically people that get those degrees are people that are proficient enough at computers. They can talk to programmers, but they also have a lot of the social develop skills to talk with CEOs and explain it to them who might not necessarily know, and then they can relay it back to the programmers. They're the intermediary. Sorry, say that word. And I think that that is honestly, Nick, being 100% candid, that is what kept me streaming and got me into streaming in the first place. Was I I literally knew people, and I think for you and I, for one of our, I think most common watching people start from the ground and work their way to the top was Mushu, or is Mushu, I should say. Um, and seeing stuff like that, because I say the story all the time, but I need to say the story all the time because I don't want anybody to ever miss it. Um, is that Mushu started with 6, 7, maybe 10 viewers.
Not even.
Yeah, and now it's what was she tonight? 800, 900. So I mean, and this was a year ago, and she has worked. Don't get me wrong, she has worked her ass off to get that. I mean, she has put so much time and effort into networking, production value, all sorts of other stuff. She's a very good Overwatch player. Um, but to see somebody start and then work their way up, to see that goals could be obtained like that is, um, I mean, it is one. It's thrilling because you feel awesome for the person that you've had a connection with, and Mushu's always been somebody that's been very supportive of me. I'm sure she's supportive of you and everybody else as well.
Absolutely.
She's been incredibly awesome. Uh, so of course you're excited for your friend, but also too because, as I've said as well, I can name 10 people off the top of my head that have made partners since you and I have known them. I mean, we have a lot in common. Darker for Serenity, Courtney, Mushu. I mean, we can sit here and name, and so it is a possible goal. And I'm sure before too long, uh, Parker, Guac.
For
Um,
sure.
so I mean, it is an obtainable goal, and I think that is what people need to see. It's one of those things where if you were to say, "Hey, I want to be the most successful actor of all time," okay, well, I have friends that have tried to do acting and they haven't made it out in Hollywood, but now there's several of them that have their own play. I don't want to say what it is without their permission because I don't know. They've told me about it, but I don't know. But one of them has a musical that's in talks, to be, produced out in Broadway. And so did he get this goal over here? No. But sometimes where you're meant to be and where you want to be, they do relate, but they're not exactly the same. And as I've said before, I didn't, I wanted to be a comic book writer. And I didn't, this wasn't something that I saw myself doing. And now that I'm doing it, I have never had this much fun. I love this just like I love comics, 12, 15 years ago when I first started when I was in high school trying to write them. Um, so no, I think hearing stuff about like that with Courtney, with Darker for Serenity, I think it makes it very relatable. And so no, I really appreciate that you said that because you know um, I 100% agree. Um,
Right. It's like anybody can do it, but that's the thing is that even though everybody can, doesn't mean everybody can.
right,
Just because you want to and you can doesn't mean that you will just because I think a lot of people really don't understand first of all what it takes and the purpose of doing it.
all right. Two biggest piece of advice from everything that I've seen, and I am the furthest thing from a professional streamer. But I would say number one, don't look at your viewer count. I know Mushu herself says that she doesn't see it, um, because you need to behave and be as engaging and as genuine if there were 3 people in your chat or if there were 300 or 3,000. You need to be exactly the same. Obviously, you get more amped. I mean, if you're sitting here with an average of 10 viewers and you got a 3,000 person host,
Right.
You're going to be amped. Obviously, there's no, we're human. We're going to have a reaction to that. But you need to, for the most part, uh, you know, be exactly the same, regardless of the sub count, the view count, all that stuff. The other thing I would say too is enjoy, find something. Don't play a game. Don't pick a topic like podcast or interview or politics or whatever, because you think that's what people want to hear. Do what you love doing, because if you can sit there for 10 hours enjoying yourself, I always tell people as well. There's a streamer named T90, and he does Age of Empires 2. The game is like 10 years older than he is. Okay, I don't actually know, but I mean, the game is almost 30 years old. It's almost as old as I am, and he plays it, and he's one of the few people that play it consistently, and he averages about 3,000 viewers. And I think the next highest is like 30 viewers for Age of Empires. But he created an entire community based on his love for that game. And that's what, people should do. Don't worry, because just chatting's popular, right? Age of Empires
Right.
2 people have found to be popular depending. The main thing is that you love what you're doing and that you have fun.
Yeah, but at the same time, like doing what you love doesn't always equal success because a lot of
Right.
people on Twitch and just like platforms in general, like social media platforms, they pick something they really enjoy, and it's great that they're enjoying it and having a lot of fun. But realistically speaking, like this is not the route that they want because almost everybody wants to grow. Like the some people will be like, no, I'm just doing it for fun. And I'm like, sure, but like I feel like a massive majority of people who say that would love to grow and like they really want to, and they just think that it comes with time, but
All
like
right.
it doesn't, right? It's it's you know playing a game that you love with 100 viewers is great for your you know enjoyment, but like in terms of growth, which is what a lot of people want, it doesn't help them. So if you're
All
going to
right.
do something that you really love, you got to find a way to utilize it to grow. So you can't just be doing it, you have to find a way to use it and make it yours.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and I mean, I think that's, rest in peace to the character. I think that's what people severely underestimated about Dr. Disrespect is he was playing all the games that everybody else was playing, but with that character, he made them unique experiences. Um, and also, by the way, too, for those of you who don't know or who might have forgot, he also did that for 10 years. Like, that was a 10-year grind. So, you got to be in it for the long haul. And I guess to further articulate what I was saying, Nick, just to kind of to clarify, I do understand what you're talking about with making it unique. I guess I was of the mindset that I've seen such diversity in what people do that I've seen a lot of people when it comes to streaming say, okay, well, here comes the new insert FPS here. I have to play that. I have to abandon this that I've been doing and enjoy. I have to play this because that's what's going to get me in the games with Shroud or Summit or Tim the Tatman or whatever, and that's what's going to get me, and I
That's
did
a little leech mindset, and it's not good.
no. One, I agree with that, and two is that, you know, their audiences are going to follow them because they have established themselves as such a persona and integral part of the Twitch community. Uh, but you cannot have that mindset when you're, in my opinion, this is my opinion, you can't have that mindset when you're first starting out. You know,
100%.
you're
Because like they Shroud, for example, they watch him for his god tier skill, and like you're playing the same game, and say you get in a game, and say even Shroud like hosts you and shouts you out, whatever. These people are not going to stay with you because they are not here. They followed the raid because Shroud asked them to. They're not going to be here for you. They're going to be or me. They're going to be
right.
here for Shroud. You don't have the personality Shroud does. You don't have the skill that Shroud does, and so
Yeah, you're just not him.
they're here for
Simple.
the
Yeah.
specific person. Exactly. Exactly.
And I was talking about this with Hero the other day, and you know, I think we kind of arrived at a mutual agreement, and there's no actual scientific method involved in this, but I would say that if you get a host, like even if it's like a 10,000, let's say you get a massive 10K host, okay? If you retain zero point 0.5 of the viewership that you got from that host, you're doing phenomenal. Like, I mean, I think if you retain 0.5 or 1% of the people from that host, you're doing amazing. Most of these big hosts, the viewership is just it's it's not retained. You will find a couple of people that are going to come back because they like you, and there's people that genuinely like smaller streamers too, or medium size streamers, people they can still interact with. Um, but they enjoy that as well. But yeah, you gotta do what you love, and you have to find a balance between like if you enjoy um, competitive Minesweeper. I don't think that I don't know that that's a growing demand for that. But the thing about it is, while there's not a growing demand for that, if, for instance, let's say that you also enjoyed other old school games, and like let's say one of them was, um, we'll go way back, Donkey Kong. The game itself, nobody's waiting for the newest release of Donkey Kong, and by that I mean the old side scroller. You know, they're not waiting for Donkey Kong 3, the retro. But there is a speedrunning community for it, a huge speedrunning community for those older games. And so that and kind of finding out, where stuff, like being a musician, there's tens of thousands of musicians, hundreds of thousands, if you will, maybe even. I'm not entirely sure what the numbers are on Twitch. But if you're a musician who, let's say, helps or gets chat involved with helping you to write a song, I guarantee you that's something different. I'm not saying other people don't do it. That's something that sets you apart from somebody that's just going to play Freebird, you know, over and over and over again. So it's about finding, combining what you love with making yourself, stand out. Um, and kind of leading into that. And by the way, I just want to say too, Nick, if at any point we are pressed for time, you just let me know. Um, and because we can always pick this back up. You know, because I have a feeling we could definitely do this for a couple of hours. So I'm going to try my best not to keep you for that long, obviously. Um, but with that being said, one of the things that is definitely unique about you, and might be something to where you thought, okay, well, this is just to me, this just makes sense. But a lot of people, we were talking about this before the stream started, and I know you said you've fallen behind, and obviously we know recent events, recent tragedies in your life, um, have hindered you from the upkeep of certain things. But I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I know very few people that have all the different platforms that you're trying to reach out to. What kind of brought that idea about? Because I would like to know the thought process, and I'm not looking at this from a critical standpoint. I mean, I don't know. I personally don't know a lot about TikTok or even really being prevalent on YouTube. Even though,
Well, I mean, so the biggest gamble and the hardest way I think to grow on this platform is to only use this platform
okay,
for content, right? And so, I mean, like for content, you know, um, the best way to bring other people to this platform is through other platforms that have a lot more discoverability because the discoverability on Twitch is abhorrently poor.
right,
So TikTok has like this for you page, and basically the TikTok will show you videos that you like, and so there are similar videos to the ones you've liked and stuff like that. And so it's really easy to be recommended to other people, like incredibly easy, like for a video to go viral on TikTok.
okay, cool,
Um, Twitter, very, very, what's the word? interactive. So it's a very easy way to make friends and just network in general, just by like I literally do it just by being my idiot self. And you know, you can throw up clips from YouTube, Twitter, um, Twitch, and you can have that, you know, enough people retweet it and like it, boom, that's just going around and around and around, and you're just getting more traction, more attention
So
to yourself.
it's cyclical. It's a cycle of
Basically.
okay. Uh,
And same thing with sort of same thing with YouTube. It's because like I think that if you really want to grow on Twitch, you have to have YouTube. Like you just have to have one.
right.
Like even if you don't know how to edit, you know, you got to learn. You know, you got to learn to edit, you got to learn to um make a thumbnail at least a little bit, just enough to get you by, or until you can pay somebody else to do it for you.
Right.
And so like I think that almost all of these top names would not be here, and they would not be as known as they are if not for YouTube. And YouTube is just one of the best ways to get your name out there. And so like every streamer who's looking to grow needs to stop thinking of themselves as a streamer and as a content creator. And they need to start, honestly, if you're looking to grow on Twitch, you need to start thinking of yourself as a YouTuber and a streamer second, because that's how you're going to grow on Twitch, in my opinion.
I like that though. Making a note of that. From this point on the Yawn After Dark Beat the Streamer, it will be formally what that will be formally the title. It will now be changed to Yawn After Dark Meet the Content Creator. Um, but you know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like what you're tacitly getting at as well when you talk about TikTok, when you talk about Twitter, when you talk about YouTube, is a lot of these things are also edited. And I don't mean edited in a bad way, but let's say that you have a 12-hour subathon stream, okay? You might have enjoyed every single second of it. Um, People aren't most likely going to go watch the entire 12-hour VOD. It's
Right.
very, very rare. Unless it is something where it is um, like I think one of my friends who's streaming right now, Eats Me Mario. He is a Remnant streamer, and he is a damn good one. And there's a survival mode on there where you kill as many bosses as possible for dying, or before dying, and it's just an infinite loop. You just keep killing bosses over and over and over again. If you wanted to watch like the beginning of how he starts his runs, in the middle, and kind of the jump around a little bit, I could see those being runs where people do watch a lot of. But for the most part, most of us, do you have a 12-hour stream? People aren't going to watch it. I mean, it's just the way that it is, you know. I mean,
Right.
and I don't blame people.
Right.
And so with YouTube, you can edit down a 12-hour subathon into the highlights,
Right.
and that becomes much more, if you will, mentally digestible than it
Right.
does, you know, anything else. So, and the same thing with TikTok. You can grab somebody's attention because this harkens back to here. I'm just going to grab a random book. Hang on, and show you all here. John Steinbeck. There we go. Okay, classic American literature. Okay, so this is what they call, for those of you who don't know, this is what they call the pitch in a book, the back cover, if you will. This is what was originally, most likely, this is what was sent to the publisher back in the day to grab their attention before reading the plot. I can go ahead and tell you from personal experience that when you submit a comic script in almost every major comic book publisher, they will have you do the pitch first, then they will have you do the plot, then they will have you do the script. Why? Because if you can't grab their attention in a paragraph, how the F are you going to do it in 28 pages or 21 pages? Okay? You have to grab their attention almost immediately. All right? And that's unfortunately the way it is. You know, you will have, I mean, I think we've all had the experience. You know, we've had people come into chat, say hi, or we see people lurking, and they might not say anything, and then, you know, 5 minutes later they're gone. It's because something happened, and it's not necessarily, you can't take it personal. You can't. You cannot take it personal. But in that 5 minutes, if that was somebody new, um, you didn't grab their attention. If it wasn't a bot, if it wasn't somebody on an alt account, um, you didn't grab their attention in that window that they gave you. And I cannot tell you what it is on Twitch or Twitter or TikTok or YouTube or any of that stuff, but in writing, you have about the first 2 pages to grab somebody's attention. So that is definitely something. That's why most books, even to this day, will have that little preview in the beginning, where if it's like a murder mystery or something, it'll be like the beginning of the murder at the very first 2 pages, even though it might not start in the actual book until page 30. They're trying to grab your attention, and so I know that was kind of a convoluted way to reinforce what Nick is saying, but I feel like that is what it comes down to as well, is that you're able to grab people with the highlights in those other platforms, and Twitch not is not necessarily. I don't want to say might not be. It definitely isn't necessarily the best way to do that.
Right. Even like even highlights are still like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them. Just because like when you put you can't I don't think it's a good idea when you're trying to build an audience to take Twitch content and sort of treat it, throw it on YouTube and still treat it like Twitch content. You know,
Okay.
I think you need to make, your content can be similar, but it's got to be, you have to make YouTube content for YouTube. You got to make TikTok content specifically for TikTok. And you got to make content specifically for Twitter. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But I think that's the best way to go about it. Like Twitch content needs to stay on Twitch unless you can find a way to turn Twitch content into YouTube content, and I don't think that highlight reels are the best way to do that. But that's just
Okay.
like just I'm just picking on your example a little bit. That's my bad.
What would you offer as no, that's fine. I don't know about this stuff. I mean, this is a learning experience for me. That's why I love. Aw, Kitty. Kitty, do you remember your first video game experience? Uh, she's like, I was sitting on his lap, meowing, trying to get attention,
Yeah,
and this
basically.
and this dude was playing Smash Brothers. Oh, she goes right to the Game Boy.
Yeah, that's her favorite spot. You can sit there.
Aw, right on top of the One Piece.
Yeah,
Um,
she's a weeb.
aw. So what would you offer as a counterexample? What do you think is better suited for YouTube in terms of content?
Well, so it's hard to say because there's just so many things you can do on YouTube. It's just such a diverse pool. So many options you can choose from than just throwing up a highlight reel from your stream. But I have a friend and um I think what he did is that he dedicated parts of his stream to do YouTube content. So he would plan out parts of his stream and he would film a video during it. And it's not like he's just using the whole stream for a video. He's like, okay, from this point to this point, I'm gonna record me doing this specifically. And so like at one point, like he's very um he's a Valorant content creator on YouTube and Twitch.
Okay.
And he before Valorant came out, he had these discussion sections, discussion PowerPoints, discussion discussions, right? of what Valorant could be, its potential, its leaks and stuff like that. He would do that on stream, take the clip of him doing that from his stream, and throw a little bit of editing in there, and he would throw it up on YouTube. And that's kind of what I mean is that if you're going to take something from your Twitch and put it on YouTube, I think it should be content for YouTube because you can do content for YouTube on Twitch, and that'll just save you time from doing it later, and you can just throw it up there. And so I think that's an alternative that I think is a good idea. So like instead of highlight reels, maybe you could sort of have a highlight reel, but it's more like I'm gonna do this and this and this and this for YouTube, and then I'm just gonna take it from my stream and put it up there.
I'm so glad that we were able to clarify that example because now I know exactly what you're talking about because one of the streamers that I watch does exactly that. This is a fantastic content creator, guy named John Wolf. Um, he mostly plays Dead by Daylight, but he does exactly what Nick is talking about. He will play horror games on stream and he will create it like he is, like this is his segment for his YouTube video series. So he will dedicate part of his stream to these, um, and you'll notice a couple of things. You might be a little bit, I don't say misled, but you might think, well, he's not interacting with chat in this and all that. Well, exactly. He turns it into a YouTube video. He tells people, hey,
Hmm.
listen, we're recording, we're recording this. I'm not going to be interacting with chat. We're going to go through um, and that's exactly what he does. He even reintroduces himself, which is if you're there for it, it's kind of funny. But and what I mean by that is he'll literally start his stream and be like, "Hi everybody, we're gonna play some Dead by Daylight." And then when he gets to the YouTube content, he'll take for instance his camera down, reset it back up, and then like, "Hi everybody, it's John here." And then he goes through, and like it was a whole different experience. So if you're there, um, if you're there, kind of watching it, um, it seemed kind of out of place, but it's definitely something. It's definitely something to keep in mind. And yeah, I'm glad that we got a chance to clarify that. Um, So, what was it like hitting that go live button for the first time? The very first stream you did.
Well, well, I guess it was the first stream. It was more like a test stream the first time I went go live because I think a
Okay.
lot of us do that. But I was still live for like 5 hours, so no, like 7 hours. It was a long time. And I had some people pop in. I think Courtney popped in my very first stream, and it was kind of nerve wracking. I was really scared to do it, but then like not very many people were watching, so I was like, I mean, nobody's watching me, so like, why do I, why am I so nervous? And so it was just, you know, it was nervous. It was scary at first, and then like once I realized the reality of my situation and my numbers as a streamer, I was like, oh, it's fine. And then eventually, I just like grew into it, being able to um handle more people and stuff like that.
Okay. Do you think that there was a point you can remember where you really felt like you hit your stride as a streamer, like where you wanted to, well, not necessarily where you want to be in terms of growth or something like that, but like, okay, now I really feel like I'm finding my game that I want to play. I feel like I've got a good layout. I feel like I'm hitting, a good consistency with schedule. I'm just seeing if it was because it's taken so long for me personally to hit some of these strides. I'm just curious as well, like if it took you like 3 or 4 months, 6 months, a year.
Yeah, it took me a while. It took me until I started playing Apex Legends,
Okay,
and even then, like until I started being decent at Apex Legends is when I feel like I finally found my thing. But I would say it really hit me, like really, really hit me when I realized that I like being good at Apex, but I should be way into just chatting a lot. I'm into just chatting a lot. And so once I found my just chatting stride, I was like, okay, this is kind of like I'm starting to like finally get it. And it took me um the more confidence I have and the more comfortable I am has to do a lot with my background,
okay,
like a lot with like my room and stuff like that. And like I even ordered more stuff. Like I spent like $250 today to like literally set up. I have like a green screen stand, except I'm going to use like a it's like a just a white backdrop to simulate a wall. And then I have a cubby, and I'm going to decorate and all this stuff, and like this in the next few days. And like I always feel like I've found my stride once my background starts looking better. So like I so I see I always think that I've only recently found my. Does that
I
make
gotcha.
sense?
Yeah, no, no, yeah, yeah. I was gonna make a joke like you were gonna say yesterday,
Right,
today.
right.
Um,
And
I
like see, I've only felt like I've found it probably within the last, I don't know, how long have I been in quarantine? 4 months? Not even then.
I, d- I just like the way that's
Three.
that's phrased. Any context of anybody outside of 2020 hearing this, like, oh yeah, I've been
Right.
quarantined for 4 months, and then I finally feel like I hit my stride.
Right. Yeah. Because I've stopped playing or even focusing on the game as much. Stopped playing the game, and I've been more about interaction. That's
Right,
what I've in the last few months I've realized. And so like even then, like whenever I started my stream, I would literally be just chatting for a full hour. I try to dedicate at least the first hour to just chatting before I start doing any other games. And like even recently, I've stopped playing with other people. When I play Apex, I only solo queue because it's just so much easier to pay attention to just everybody else. Like everybody in chat, how I am, how I'm acting. You know, me trying to entertain people because it's not about the game. Like once I and ever since I've done that, like I've seen my numbers grow substantially. Like now I'm no longer averaging 6 people. It's and I've literally I think um at like March, but before I came back to my parents' house, and I was literally hop on just chatting for like 10 minutes, then go and play a game, and just like, oh, people are watching me, cool. I think I had like 9 subs, I think, and then right now I'm at 70. So
that's
like
awesome.
yeah, it's been. I think that um
Well,
consistency helps,
almost a
but
1,000% increase.
yeah,
Well,
but
800, but
it's the stride. I feel like it was when I started to just chatting and Apex, but like I'm grateful for me playing all that Apex because now I'm not the flex, but I'm fairly good at the game, and so I'm like I'm good enough to where I don't have to pay as much attention to it. If that makes sense.
right.
And
No,
so
yeah.
yeah,
And
and so
I want to add a note
yeah,
real quick there, just a little footnote. Um, you know, sometimes people get really hard on themselves when they're like, how are these, uh, streamers or whoever, how are they able to climb in like Overwatch or whatever? Well, when you play a game for a living and you are doing something for 10 hours a day, they usually say, going back to music here for a second, they usually say 30 minutes to stay the same, an hour of practice a day to improve at least. And these
right.
people are doing it for 10 hours a day. So, yes, Kitty agrees. Um, uh, but um, yeah, I mean, so another thing, yeah, I just want to note, people not being too difficult on themselves, when you're first trying to start streaming or something like that about your gameplay, your mechanics, stuff like that. Um, if you're focused on that, if you want to improve as a player, because it takes time with all that stuff. Um,
It's I think that if you want to be playing a video game while on stream, I think you should be playing it even more off stream. That way, on stream, it's not about the game, and gameplay wise, you're still entertaining while you can focus on other things.
yeah, I'm so elated that you know I, we sync up so much on some of this stuff because it's really really cool to meet people uh, who oh hang on I gotta divert for that for just 1 second. No, Clips, the reason the reason I keep saying that is because you always are like you always immediately you're like he didn't learn take from me. Like when I play now, he just denies me. He just denies me. I don't know who taught you that. Uh, Solo Q taught me that. Solo queue taught me YOLO or nothing, double or nothing. Um, Actually, not caring about the game also taught me that. But anyways, I'm glad that because when you have people that come from different backgrounds than you, it's always awesome to know that you're still on a similar page with a lot of the thought processes and stuff like that. So it's really really cool. Like once we start talking about making content on YouTube and all that stuff while you're streaming on Twitch or taking your personality, dialing it up just a little bit. I mean, all that stuff I completely agree with, and I think that's awesome.
It's
Um,
about diversifying your content pool. It's you really have to like it's you know people like Mushu who basically to get to I don't know 100 200 viewers she just like streamed herself playing video games and like yeah her personality is entertaining but like a lot of that is not the way that a lot of people make it to her point is she I think she's very fortunate that she got to be just hit go live and have a schedule and hit go live and play. Although there's more to that. She was very active in her Discord and she's very focused on community building. But even with that, that is it's not something that people see Mushu's situation and I think if I just do everything that she did, that then I'll have the same result. And yes, it worked for her, and I'm really glad it did. It's not. I would say she's an outlier to how most people grow, and like this, the general rule is that you need to diversify your content pool as early on as possible. If that makes sense.
no, no, it does, because I mean, it's like weightlifting. Your core exercises, deadlift, squat, bench press, a lot of that stuff are going to be the staples. So long as somebody has um, an overall healthy disposition and physical, aw, um, has a you know overall they're healthy and there's no like major back issues or something like that. That's what people are going to have as kind of the staples and cores of their exercise programs. With that being said, just because that the way you would train for your specific goals, your body type, etc., is way different than the way that I would train, even if we're implementing similar exercises. The way you would eat would be different than I would eat. It's just so you can take similar
And like
platform.
some people just have like people. I think a good example of people like Mushu, right, is like say you have a friend and your friend has an incredibly fast metabolism, right? And
Hmm.
you like I don't, and right, and I look at him and I'm like, okay, I can just do exactly what he does, and I'll get the same results that he does. But like he's an outlier, like a lot of people do not have his metabolism, right? And so I can't act like I do. So until I have confirmation that I do, I have to treat myself with the general rule that um I am not like this one in a thousand person, one in a million person. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I also want to add something to that if we're going to use exercise as an example. And that's that the person who has a very fast metabolism also typically, the downside of that is that they have trouble putting on muscle because they have trouble typically maintaining the weight to build muscle. So yes, they
Right.
will be very lean. The person who puts on a lot of weight, they might have trouble cutting down and being quote unquote shredded, but they will pack on muscle quicker than, ectomorphic, endomorphic, mesomorphic, all those different body types. And so don't think just because somebody is in a what you would consider successful situation. Also, it's great to accentuate people's successes and celebrate their successes, but also, never minimize the trials and tribulations that they might have gone through to get that, you know, because it's easy to just sit there and I don't want to say throw a pity party for yourself, but it's easy to sit there and say, well, I
Right.
don't I don't have these numbers, and this person just, oh, they were already a celebrity before this, or um,
I
they,
do all the things they do and it's not the same.
yeah, because they might have um, one of the things I always try to keep in mind going back to comic books and professional wrestling is you have a wrestler named CM Punk, Phil Brooks. And once he was done with WWE, he got offered a contract to write for Thor, one of the Thor comics for Marvel. He's not a comic book writer. He has no background in writing. He is a fan and he is popular. And so they gave him. Now, I could look at that and be bitter about it and be like, I tried to do this and I actually am a proficient writer. And all. The reality is that man tore his body up and went through tables and barbed wire to get the fame to get in that position. And so,
I think it's that everybody has a formula for success,
yeah,
but nobody's formula is the exact same.
exactly. Yeah. A personal tailored meal plan to
They could be
success.
similar, but it will never be the same as somebody
Yeah.
else.
We're all eating chicken. It's just how much.
Yeah.
What is y'all talking about? So I want to, before you have to go here, because it looks like we're getting close to that time.
All right.
I do want to say, I take just a moment and kind of divert to what are your future goals and plans? Like, do you have any immediate plans in the future that you're trying to get back a particular platform started up, or?
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm upgrading my stream setup soon here in a few days, which I'm really excited about. And I'm gonna go back to finishing that YouTube series that I have not been able to complete. I have like 3 episodes so far. I want to get back on creating funny TikToks and just like because I definitely see that with in the next 6 months, I'm confident that if I just keep consistent with all the work that I'm doing, I still have school, so it's gonna be a lot, but I'm almost positive that I could hit. I'm almost positive that if I really just got my stuff together and just do what I planned, that I could hit partner within a year. But if I'm pretty confident that um, I could be really close within 6 months.
Okay, I mean, you know what? I actually completely agree. I think, once you get things going and it took, you a while by your own admission, and it takes us all a while to hit a comfortable stride. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. I think most entertainers, artists, content creators, however you want to look at it, are perfectionists by nature. That it might not necessarily be with, you know, uh, every little facet of organization, but definitely when it comes to their art, they definitely want things to be perfect. And of course, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but they spend time being meticulous and making sure that everything's the way that they want it. But I know when it comes to personality, when it comes to being entertaining, um, I don't know enough about Apex, so I can't throw any type of credentials on that because I don't play Apex. But
It's not about the game.
yeah,
It's never about the game.
um, but I definitely think. Well, one, obviously, I have a vested interest because we're friends. So you making it as partner would be awesome just to see a friend make it. Another friend, I should say, make it. But I also think, um, you are an incredibly hardworking person, especially with all this stuff. And I used to not appreciate that from anybody really because I didn't understand what went into streaming. And it's one of those things where if you don't do it, it sounds really easy. People go and they cook in their kitchen all the time, and then they try to be a professional chef, and you realize it's way different cooking for an hour or 30 minutes or putting something in the oven than being on your feet for 14 hours a day. um, and it is a very enlightening, very different perspective than what I was used to. And having done this now for about 6 months, I can say with absolute certainty that I appreciate not just how awesome people like you and Audie are, or Mushu, or Luis, but how much hard work you all put in. And I feel like if you have that work ethic and that drive, yeah, I mean, sky's the limit. Um, I'd be very, very excited for you to get partner, and I definitely think it's something that you should strive for because I think it's
But
definitely
even then,
attainable.
partner is only step one.
Yep. Of course, you always got to stay hungry. got to stay humble and hungry and keep growing.
Hmm.
Um,
Right. I think a lot of people make that mistake, or that's not really a mistake, but I feel like people see partner as the ultimate goal, but like phew, partner's like down here, Well, the ultimate goal is way up here.
yeah. Well, yeah. There's, I mean, to not crush anybody's dreams because I don't want to do that. But there's a lot of partners that have a second job.
Right.
Um, so you gotta. I mean, you still gotta strive to keep going. If you want to do it full time, partners, he says, just kind of the beginning. With that being said, though, if there's somebody that gets partner that I would be elated for and super super proud of, it would definitely be you. Because I think with the work that you've put in, it'd be very very deserving. Obviously, I would love to see all my friends get partnered, um, but especially those I know who have been at it for a while, who've been putting in the hard work. Um, with that being said, um, what the, Luis, listen here. You listen to me. You good-looking son of. Anyways, um, hey all. Luis got a cam. Anyways, okay. With that being said, um, we are going to do two things real quick. One, I didn't know if there was anything that you wanted to say going out, Nick.
I think I'm good.
Okay, awesome. And then the second one, as we talked about beforehand, I'm going to let you pick who we rate or host. And
Oh,
actually, there was one other thing I wanted to do real quick. Let me go ahead and give you perms if you don't mind. And I definitely wanted you to plug your YouTube channel.
unfortunately, I don't have a custom link yet, but we're gonna get one eventually.
Okay. Or actually, while you're looking for somebody to rate, I think I can bring it up. I should have it on here. There we go. All right, I found it. So let me. What? Oh my
Hey,
God.
clips.
Jesus Christ. Nobody clicked that.
For some reason. You got it.
Yep, I got it.
Yeah, I think I have somebody to read.
All right, PogChamp.
I'll post their link in your chat. His name is Hex. Good friend.
Okay, awesome. Let's see.
All right, we got to go kind of fast though because I got 3 minutes.
I gotcha. All right, brother. So
I
go ahead.
appreciate you inviting me to do this. Thank you.
No problem, brother. Everybody, please be sure to check out Nick. Whether you follow him on YouTube, on Twitter, or on Twitch, of course, obviously, platform we're on. You can't go wrong. He is an amazing, amazing person, um, and great content creator. But I'm also blessed to be able to call him a good friend as well. So that's, obviously, like I said, I have a vested interest in this. But he is a phenomenal person, and I would love for you all to get to know him, and follow him on one of those platforms or all of them. Sky's the limit. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and let him go. He's got an interview to go to. So yeah, Nick, if you are more than welcome if you needed to go ahead and end the call. And as I said before, we can do this again in the future. Love to have you back on, especially if there's a major event or something that you have coming up, like your YouTube series comes out. Definitely would like to have you back on.
For sure.
So,
Of course.
everybody, please give a round of applause to Nick, aka Spam Emotes. Definitely want to let him know how much we appreciate him doing this. So. All right. Well, buddy, thank you so much. Love you. You've been
Love you
awesome.
too. Thank you
And
for having me.
good luck with the interview or what the meeting you're gonna have. And we will catch you next time. All right.
All right.
All right. Later, buddy.
Bye.
Okay. So, oh, gameplay. There we go. Okay. Um, how would you rate your call? I would not rate my call. Um, so here's the deal. So kind of keep you all in the loop a little bit um, about what is going on. Um, hang on one second. How do I get out of? Hang on. There we go. Okay. Uh, okay. Sorry, I was just making sure something was set up. Okay. Um, so here's the thing. Um, the doctor. Uh, how do I? Oh, Pog Vindy. You are indeed getting there. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I have to clear that. I have to clear that message eclipse. I don't want that, even though it was a joke. I don't want that a chat. Somebody click that link. Um, but anyways, so what the eye doctor said, yeah, I just have a chronic condition, rosacea of the eye. There is nothing I can do about it. Uh, he said to keep streaming. He said that this won't have any effect on it. It is just a chronic condition. It's going to be there whether I stream or not. So to keep streaming, keep my eyes with the solution, um, and and make sure that I take breaks if I need to. But that is basically just a chronic condition. It's uh, it's a nuisance. It's a pain in the ass. Um, but there is, nothing to be done about it in terms of. I mean, there's stuff to be done about it, but there's nothing to be done about it in terms of, um, uh, if I stop streaming, it'll get better. Which I'm going to be honest with you all. If he had said something like, "Hey, if you keep doing this in 5 years, your vision's going to um, be bad. Your vision's, macular degeneration. Your eye's gonna give out." I don't know that I wouldn't have still been streaming because of how much I love this. So um, definitely want to keep doing this. So I'm elated um, that the news essentially boiled down to it's a nuisance, but it's not. One, it's not detrimental to my health, and two, I don't have to give up streaming or anything like that. Because I'll be honest with you all, I didn't show it on stream, but I was having panic attacks. Interview with you when you feel better. Oh, that'd be awesome, Audie. Yeah, I'd be happy with that. That'd be cool. Um, but I was basically giving myself a panic attack every night. I just wasn't showing it on stream because I was trying to put on a brave face, so to speak, for you all. But yeah, I was very, very upset. I was not in a good mood because and that's I honestly think I worried myself sick the other day about it. Um, and I think that that's why I wasn't feeling good the other day. I said it was allergies. I was lying a little bit. It could have been allergies, but I think I was literally worrying myself sick about this because um, I've had to give up jobs before because of physical complications, and I didn't want to do that. And so, anyways, but that's not the news. He said to keep doing it. He said I'm doing everything that he knows as far as taking care of the eyes, everything as far as as far as he would recommend um, when it comes to you know uh, taking care of yourself. Um, like I said with the well, what you said, Dragon? Oh, don't be sad. If you're sad about this is good news. You know, I can. Here's the thing, everybody. I can deal with a chronic condition, right? We've all got our issues, our our health issues, our mental health issues that we deal with. Um, it's just you know, it's like for instance weightlifting. I can deal with a little bit of back pain weightlifting, okay? But what you don't want to ever be told is that you literally can't do something anymore, and that's what I was worried about, and that is not what happened. So rejoice because I'm going to. I'm going to go have pizza that's been in the fridge for a while. Um, and it's definitely something I'm happy about. That it's just a nuisance, and we essentially go from there. Um, yeah, I think I've said the same thing about 40 times now. Anyways, uh, I'm finally so de-stressed about it that I'm not worrying about it. So at any rate, I'm happy. I would hope that um, you all understand that it might be to where I have to take an extra break, a day or two, if I do like a really long stream. But for the most part, we're a-okay. Everything's good. It's all gravy, baby, as they say. Um, there's no long-term complications, no long-term issues. And he also told me too. I will say this as well. When he looked back through my medical history from 2017 to 2019, I actually didn't have any episodes of this, so it can come and go. I appreciate that, Vinny. I love you all too. Sincerely, I do. That's why stuff like this. Um, I don't stress nearly about a whole lot these days. Like I really don't even stress about my esophagus even more. I probably should. I probably should try to be losing more weight. But anything that prevents me from streaming or stuff like that, that's where my stress comes from. Because I don't want to give this up. I have way too much fun. Like I said, I haven't been this excited, this interested in doing something, and for 15, 10, 15 years. So, um, it's just been absolutely amazing. And I love you all to death. And so we chalk this up as a win. We chalk this up as a win. We chalk this up as good news. Um, we are, yeah, we're good to go. Streams will continue. And I just might have to take a little bit of rest here, once in a while. Um, that's pretty much it. But if I take care of myself, like I said, not too long ago, I had a 2 year stretch where this never occurred. Um, so that is definitely something to keep in mind because it's rosacea is an autoimmune thing from what I understand. So, um, Pancake, what's going on, buddy? How are you doing? It's been a while. How have you been? Hope all is well. Um, but anyways, we keep going. Oh yeah, I love this thing. I actually ordered. This is the third one that I have. Um, I ordered two more just in case they ever stop selling them or something. Well, so with that being said, I do apologize, Pancake. We were gonna end, but we are sending it over to another person for raid. Nick, are you still there, buddy? I had to clear chat. If you are, can you go ahead and provide that link again? Let me permit you real quick. Yeah, I should probably permit somebody. Did that not go through? One second, let me. There we go. Okay, Nick, can you post the link again of your friend? Let me message him on Discord. If he doesn't have stream. How are you doing, Pancake? By the way, how have you been feeling? Overwatch. Oh no. I can maybe guess how you've been feeling. You've been playing Overwatch. Run away! Gotcha, brother. Alright, so this is who we're gonna raid. Hex Tactic. Okay. Oh, I'm being so dumb about this. There we go. Alright. As always, thank you all so much for being here. As I would say, thank you so much for, of course, um, I love seeing you all, but I love you more that we're able to support all the awesome people that come through and do this. And it's always a joy. And like I said, I always get to learn stuff too, so it's an awesome, awesome experience. Um, you guys are absolutely phenomenal. Um, I keep saying it. I was holding back a little bit at certain points because I didn't want to come across as arrogant. I didn't want to come across as pretentious. But I absolutely love this family. This is the best family, not just on Twitch, not just on Discord. The best family that, you know, and I include Mama Yawn in it, and I include, of course, Barry Mays and all of them. This is the best family that, I've ever been a part of. And I've been a part of several families. Uh, so, yeah, I love you all so much. You all are phenomenal. We're going to say hi to Hex Tactic. Tomorrow we have an interview with Xanet. So I hope you all can make it for that and probably be playing some more Hellpoint before that. But anyways, I love you all, and I will catch you all next time. Bye, everybody.